Now going to chapter 2. So first thing is nothing but the drawing aids. What I told you, we are going to find a category in the building models as annotations, right? So in the annotations, we have got one category which is called as the dimensions, So whenever we work with any software, drafting software or the drawing software, we are going to provide some basic settings. Like I purchased a mobile phone or you purchased a new laptop or a computer. So what you are going to do, you are going to provide some basic settings like your region, your location, your theme, your wallpaper. You're going to provide your sign-in ID. You will go with some basic updates, right? So same like that here also, when you install your Revit for the first time, you are going to provide some basic settings. So those settings, what I'm going to discuss here is nothing but the listening dimensions, alignment lines, and the snaps. So in the brackets, you can write this listening dimensions as temporary dimensions also. Please write down. The listening dimensions can also be called as temporary dimensions. Temporary dimensions. So what are the temporary dimensions? All those things I'll explain here. So this drawing aids like the alignment line or a snap or the listening dimension, you can see whenever you're going to work with any model. These things are visible for you. We cannot hide this, but we can modify this. For example, when you're going to place a wall or when you're going to place any component or a furniture, so you can find the listening dimensions and the alignment lines, like whether you're going with the any angle, whether you're going with some any distance, you're going to get the preview of that. Okay, and it will track a point from the nearby object. So a snap appears when a new wall is joined to an existing wall. So in the AutoCAD, what we do, we go with the F8 for the ortho, F10 for some basic snap settings, and F3 to provide any kind of midpoint or any kind of drafting midpoints over there. So same like that we have. So first thing, nothing but alignment line. So alignment line you can find especially for the horizontal or the vertical, even for the diagonal also you can find. So you can see the first thing is snap. Snap means to provide the geometries of any object. If I talk about a circle, I'm having some geometries for that circle, like I have a midpoint or a center point, node point, or a quadrant point, right? If you talk about a line, you're going to find the first point or the end point or the midpoint. So those things we are going to set whenever you're going to work with any model. So snap appears when the cursor is moved over geometric points in the sketch, such as end point and midpoint. Snaps display individual icons for recognition. You can enable or disable object snap and specify dimension snap increments. You can also override snap settings using keyboard shortcuts. Regarding keyboard shortcuts, later on I'll show you. But right now we are not working with any keyboard shortcuts. We are working with the options which are visible on the screen. So how to set this snap increment value? How to set? Very easy. The snap increment value is very important to modify because with the help of snap only, we are going to locate a position of the object. So when you are placing an element or component in a view, it can be an element, it can be a component. The listening dimensions, I think my temporary dimensions will show you the length, dimension, snap increment, etc. So likewise, when you are placing the element in an angle, the angle snap dimension will be a preview. So if you want to provide any kind of settings in the manage tab, in the menu bar, you are going to find the manage tab. You will be finding the settings panel. In the settings, you are going to find the snap. So here you are going to get some options. So like you can see, this is my menu bar. In the menu bar, can you see we have got the manage tab. In the manage tab here, you can see we have got some settings. Can you see? In the settings, can you see we have got the snaps? Can you see here? So when you select the snaps here, if you want to disable the snap, means if you don't want any kind of endpoint or midpoint to be visible on the screen for any object, in that case, you can select from here. But If this is off, it becomes very difficult for us to work on a model, because without knowing the end point, we cannot work. Without knowing the midpoint, we cannot, because if you want to get the midpoint value, you have to provide either the dimensions, or else you have to take any kind of offset value, or you have to divide at least. So those are time taking. So it is always advised to keep the snap on. If you want to disable any options, like if you don't want any kind of nearest point, if you don't want this one, so you can off from here, anyone, but it should always be on. Now here you can see we have got an option to provide some settings. By default, Revit will give you 4 values like 1000, 100, 25. In terms of angle, 90 degree, 45, 15, 5, 1. So what I want to show here is, like, I'm going to work with a plan. I'm taking any level, like level 1 I have taken. I'll go with the home tab, nothing but the architecture tab. I will draw a line. So here can you see a model line. So when you select the model line, you can see you are getting some temporary dimensions. Can you see here? We are getting the 800, 900, 1000. Can you see the dimensions over here? 1100, 1200. If you're going to zoom a lot, what is happening? The snap value is getting changed. Like after 1200, we will get 1220. What is the increment value we are getting? 20 mm, right? If you are going to move, what is happening? 40. We are not finding a value of 10 mm. After 1240, we will get 1260. Why we are getting 1260? Why we are not getting 1250? Why we are not getting an increment of 10? Because in the settings, we have given the value of 20 mm. Can you see? We have given the value of 20. If you would have given the value or increment of 10, like I'm going to add a value of 10, I'm going to add a semicolon, I'm going to add a semicolon, and I'm going to place over here, semicolon, and I'm going to place here. So now what happens is, when you're going to draw a line, what is happening? For every value, like 380, zoom a lot, 400, 410, can you see now? 420, 430, 440, 450, we are getting this in. So this is a basic setting what you have to provide as per the requirements. Like same thing for the angle also. If you don't want to show the temporary dimensions, you can off from here. If you don't want to show temporary dimensions, you can off from here. Directly you will get the model. I'll show you later how to work with that also. But it should always be on. We don't recommend to keep it off. It should always be on, because by looking at this increment, it will be easy for you to mark the point. So these things will be what we have to do on the initial stage. So click here, okay. So the same thing, click manage tab, settings in the snap, please highlight this point, select length dimension snap increment and angular dimension snap increment to turn on the snaps. Enter the stamping increment values, separating the increments with semicolons. Semicolon should be there. There is no limit to the number of increments you can specify. You can specify any value, 5, 10, 3, 2, 100, any value you can specify to n number of intervals. And once it is done, click here, okay. The same screenshot you can see in your notes. I hope it's very clear regarding the snap increment value. Any doubts for anyone?
So in this we can't manually enter, like we want to move by 15 or something like that. We always have to go through this one.
Yes, whenever you want to go with some restriction increments, you have to provide your own value. Like 15, if you want, you have to add a value of 15.
Okay, we can't do it like what AutoCAD at the rate of 5.
We can provide the coordinates. We can provide, we don't have an option of limits in the coordinate, like command bar, we don't have.
Yeah, command bar, yeah.
We don't have all those things.
Okay.
We have got the coordinate option that will be directly linked with your Google. Through the Google map, it will link directly.
Okay.
Okay, but here we cannot specifically provide. We have got the coordinate option also, but the exact geometries of your plan, if you know, then only you can able to provide. Like northing, easting, southing, if you know, then you can able to provide the values over here. Directly according to the site requirements, the plot limits, it will provide. But we don't have an option like limits over here. And to provide the coordinates like from x-axis, so and so distance at so and so angle, we don't have those options. It's very intelligent software. These options, what we have regarding the coordinates are very vast. The positioning is there, which will be directly located. Everything will be there. And if you want to enable and disable snap, you can enable disable. When you switch off these two things, what happens? You will get a snap on the worker plane, but it will never follow these intervals. Any angle it will provide you, any distance it will provide you. Okay, you can opt this. Like even if you opt this also, the snap will be visible. But what is happening? Any angle value it will show for you. That is the main thing what we have. But it should always be on. It should always be on for you. I hope it's very, very clear regarding this. Provide the snap values. Always keep the snap on. Nothing will happen if it is on. Next, you can see temporary overriding snap settings. Like in the AutoCAD, if you want to know, if you want to extract the midpoint between the two endpoints, so what we do? We are going to right click and we are going to go with the midpoint option. In the AutoCAD, we follow that. Here also we are having the same option. Like you're going to plot, you're going to mark a line and you want the center point of that line. So what you're going to do, you're going to select these options. If you want the midpoint, if you want center point or quadrant point, whatever you want, it will provide. Like I'll show you the best example. So I'm just going to zoom fit. I'm going to provide the snap increment values. Yes, everything is a click here or here. So when you are going with a line, for example, I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to draw a normal line. Now, before going to the second point, right click and can you see the snap overrides options from here? If you want a midpoint, of this line, whatever the line you're drawing, automatically it will show you the midpoint of that. Automatically it will show you. Can you see the breakup over here? Can you see? It has been divided into two entities over here. If you're going to draw the circle, like I'm going to draw a circle from here, go for the model line. And in the model line, if you want to draw an arc, a circle or ellipse, whatever you want, you can select. I'm going to select the circle option from here. This is the drawing toolbars for me. So here is a circle. So when you're going to draw the circle, if you want any kind of tangent point, for example, so select the tangent point. It will give the tangent point directly. So these things are available when you go with the snap, and this is for one click only. It won't be enabled for the long time, like we don't have the enable or disable option over here. Temporary snap are the options what we find over here. Temporary snaps. If you want the endpoints, it will show you the endpoints. Whatever you want, it will provide you. But generally we follow the endpoint between the two endpoints. Sorry, the midpoint between the two endpoints. This is what we follow generally. Like I want to place any object between the two lines. So we go with this. Like I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to draw a line over here. And I want to place this line exactly at the center. Okay, I want to place this line exactly center. So what I'll do, I'll go with the option of move from here. These are nothing but the modifiers commands what we have. I'll explain you later. This is nothing but mirror. This is offset. This is copy. This is nothing but the move what we have. So when you are going to move from here, so now just right click and go for an option of snap mid between 2 points. Can you see? Snap mid between the 2 points. So select this point and select this point. Automatically will get the midpoint in between. Can you see? The line has been placed exactly at the center. So this is called as the snap override. Like I want to place a lighting fixture exactly between the center of the door, above the door. So you will go with this option. Like you're going to place any kind of HVAC grill. Okay. Between two endpoints. Okay. You need the center point of the room. So in that case, we are going to select the object, right click and just go with the select between the two endpoints. You can able to place over. So this is the best option what we have. So whichever point you want, you can select. I hope regarding this, it's very, very clear for everyone. Following any notes? Now we will define the units, the project units, like in which quantity you want to work. As I told, basically, we have got two different types of quantity. One is the imperial system and one is the metric system. Imperial system means if you want to work in the feet or inches. Metric system means if you want to work with meters, centimeters, or the millimeters. So before starting the project, as we are going to deal with the basic template which is given by the Autodesk, we are going to define the units. So the display format of the various quantities in the product can be specified. Whichever you want to work, you can define. The display format specified affects the appearance of the quantities on the screen. Like if you are going to provide any dimensions, that will be a replica based upon the units what you are giving. So the format of various data of information or presentation purpose can also be specified. Like if you're going to provide any kind of estimation or a quantity, that will also affect the same. So projects units are grouped by disciplines such as common, structure, or electrical. Like we are working with which area? We are working with architecture. So you can select the architecture template over here. Common means for the complete project, for all types of template, the same units will be there. Sometimes what happens? I work with the meters. If the other discipline people may work with millimeters. So in that case, I'll select specific discipline. But if you want to keep the units for all the disciplines the same, select the common over here. So how to select the units? In AutoCAD, we have got a simple shortcut key, nothing but UN, right? So when you type a UN over here, automatically this window will be visible over here. I repeat again, I am typing just UN. So this is a small, command window, I can say, where you can see what we are typing on the bottom of the screen next to your status bar. So here we have got an option of discipline. I'll show you. We have got an option also inside where it is. I'll show you. So which discipline you are working with? Common, electrical, energy, HVAC, infrastructure, piping, structure. So we are working with common. So which angle? Angle will always be in degrees. You can go with other also like radians also, but we always follow with the degrees only. So what is the degree decimal you want? 1 decimal, 2 decimal, or 3 decimals? Like 23.25 degrees, 25.255 degrees. That will be defined with your decimal. Like 1 decimal is enough for the degree, 0.1 degree is enough. And click here, okay. The area, like you want to work with which area? If you want to work with the square feet or square inch or square meters or square millimeters. Which one you want to select, you can select. Like I want to work with square millimeters because my dimensions will be in millimeters, right? Rounding decimal 1 or 2, like 3000.1 decimal. That will be the value. If you go with 2 decimals, what will happen? 0.01, 0.02, those things will come. But for the millimeters, 1 decimal is enough. And the symbol, what we get when we are going to mark the area will be in mm square because we are working with square millimeter. If you want to customize, you can customize also. Okay, but we'll go with cost. If you're going to provide the costing, like in which currency you want to provide. Okay, and specify the currency also over here. Okay, later on I'll show you in the BOQ class. So distance. So obviously when we have selected the square millimeter, the distance and the length should also be in millimeters only, right? Agree? When the area is in square millimeter, the length or distance should also be in millimeters only. So millimeters with 1 decimals, again, symbol will be mm and click here, okay. Again, the length will also be the same. Millimeters, okay, with 1 decimal we will go and the unit symbol will be mm. Click here, okay. The rest, mass density, rotation angle, all these things we don't require right now. For the piping point of view, the mechanical point of view, we require these things, or even for the structure point of view. But as architect point of view, we require till length only. Angle, area, cost, distance. These things we require. I hope it's very, very clear regarding these things. So the same thing you can see when you're going to select the common. Okay. Right now you can write down in the brackets, UN is a shortcut. UN. Just you should not press the space bar or the enter key like AutoCAD. UN is a shortcut. UN is a shortcut. Please write down. Please write down. UN is a shortcut. So this is the basic concept what we have seen today. The next will be the labels and how to work with labels, all those things. I'll show you again with a new project file. I hope it's very, very clear regarding.